So my name is Omar Rapisad. It is 7:14 p.m., October 31st, 2019. So I'm going to talk today about an incident that happened over 8 years ago. And it was a direct result of being flagged and a direct result of residents in the building telling lies about me to the cops. And I'm suspecting that some who moved out since then swore affidavits about me. So I'm going to be pulling those back up to find out who exactly were making those calls. But I'm not sure who actually did it. But based on those calls, two cops came by, and I was out at the time having lunch with a friend, and I came back. This was mid-afternoon. Um, and of course, I was dressed to go out because I was out. So I wasn't, my appearance um, was good. Um, so I took my shoes off when I came in, and had my friend was in my unit, and I had my socks on. And as soon as I walked in, but before that, when I parked the car in the underground, there were two cops in the underground in the parking lot, and they were swearing. And when I came in and I took my shoes off, knock, 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 and two cops, male, um, Caucasian, asked to come in, or actually asked to, yeah, no, yeah, they actually did ask to talk to me. They wanted to talk to me. Can they come in to talk to me? So I stepped out and I said, we can talk in the corridor. And the door closed behind me. It's automatically closed. And one said, we're going to take you down to the hospital. And so I said, why? He did not answer. He said, you understand that you're not under arrest, but we are going to take you to a hospital. So these are two male cops, over 6 feet tall. And I learned afterwards that they were fresh from war zones in the Muslim world, and they came back working as cops, um, answering mental health calls. It's very possible that they were suffering post-traumatic stress disorder themselves. And I'm brown skin. So, anyways, I was told that I was not under arrest, that I'd be taken to a hospital. So I did not have my shoes on. So I've never had any interaction with the cops before, ever in my life. And so I was in the corridor. So I turned, knowing that I'm not under arrest. I turned and put my hand on the handle of the door to open it to come in and put my shoes on. They would not tell me why I was taken. So as soon as I put my hand on the door handle, um, one of the cops grabbed me roughly, pull. No, he lifted me. All of six. He was 6 feet tall. Excuse me. I am all of 4 feet 11. Lifted me, slammed me against a wall with my shoulders, pulled my hands roughly behind my back, cuffed my hands behind my back. Then they both proceeded to lift me off the floor. My feet were dangling about a foot off the floor, and proceeded to walk down the corridor saying, we're going to take you. I was not resisting because I kept on asking to put my shoes on because I didn't want to go to the hospital only with my socks. So I kept on asking, and I wasn't doing it loudly, and I was not shouting, and I was not creating a scene. Keep in mind that they had absolute control over me because my hands were cuffed behind my back and I was lifted off the floor. And I kept asking to put my shoes on as they walked me down the corridor towards the elevator. So after doing this repeatedly, one of the cops decided to allow me to do that. So he turned around and he walked me back. And my friend was inside of my unit. And she proceeded to call my brother. Um, and while she was on the phone, the cop said, "Stay out of it." He told my friend, "Stay out of it." And he got on the phone and he asked my brother, was she exhibiting strange behavior? And I talked to my brother afterwards and he said, no, he didn't. And he put the phone down. So my friend helped me with my shoes. She brought the shoes and I slipped it on because I couldn't put it all the way on. So I slipped it on as a slipper. And I asked for my bag as well. And they allowed me to take my bag because they needed the ID. So they walked me out with my hands cuffed behind my back. And as they were walking out, the building superintendent, his name is Gord, was in the corridor. He walked in. And anyway, they walked me out in a cruiser and put me in the back seat. And it was very hard getting in with my hands cuffed behind my back. And I was in complete shock, utter shock. Um, the building superintendent, or I asked the building superintendent to lock the door. My friend obviously had to leave, and they locked the door behind me. He had a master key. So in the cruiser, my mouth was completely dry, and the officers were trying to make conversation. And I remember asking for water because my mouth was completely dry. And they didn't have water. Um, they drove to Scarborough Grace Hospital, and they were making small talk along the way. Um, and they drove up in front of the hospital, got out the car, sat on the concrete embankment in front of the hospital, and ate McDonald's while I was still sitting in the car. When they were finished, they took me out. It was very difficult getting out, and got me into the lobby and waited for me to be signed in by a nurse. While in the lobby, um, again, I asked for water, and they refused. No water. I was in complete shock. My mouth was completely dry. They refused to give me the water. So after about 30 minutes, um, one of the cops were asking for my health card for me to be signed in. And I said, it's in my wallet in my bag. So he opened the bag and he started searching my bag. And he said, where exactly is this? So I have a card holder. It was not in my wallet. And he started getting rough again about thinking that I was trying to mislead him. So I kept saying it's in the card holder, it's not in the wallet. And so he searched my bag, basically, and will not give me the water. So the nurse came in, maybe 30 minutes, 35 minutes. And by the time I was registered in, it'd be 40, 45 minutes. I asked the nurse for water. and the cop refused. Don't give her water. When I was registered in, he finally gave the nurse the permission to give me water. So she got a glass of water and put it in a straw and held it to my mouth. Now, could you imagine if somebody was really mentally ill, what would have happened in a situation like that? So I kept my cool. Obviously, I'm not mentally ill. So I kept my cool. And the cop asked me what I did for a living. And at the time, I was working as a financial analyst at Women's College Hospital. And I told him so. And the cop, one of the cops said they were playing good cop, bad cop. And the good cop was saying, stay quiet. These people have the right to hold you here. Um, so stay quiet. Anyway, so they took me into a little room, like a cell. It was a cell, no windows, just an enclosed room. And the two officers, there were two cots against each wall, built-in cots. And the two officers were in the room with me. And they were treating me as if I was this completely violent, out of control person. So I took meditation classes at the temple, Hindu temple. So I learned techniques to calm myself through breathing. And because when I went in the cell and it was completely enclosed, I'm claustrophobic. Um, it felt like I was in a jail basically, and the two cops were with me. So it was it was a scary situation. So I guess my training kicked in, my training in meditation. And I closed my eyes and I pulled myself together and I turned my attention to my breathing and to my attention inwards to take away the feeling of being enclosed. And I have these two cops standing next to me, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I was getting heart palpitations. That's why I started meditating. So the doctor came in after maybe another 40 minutes, and she asked me a few questions. No, first there was a social worker who came in and asked me all these questions about what time, if I knew what day it was, what time it was, to make a judgment about whether I was all there. Obviously, I had just come in from lunch and I was driving, so there was absolutely nothing wrong with me. Uh, anyway, the protocol is to see a doctor. The doctor spent maybe 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes at most. And she got up and she asked the cops why I was there. There was absolutely nothing wrong with me. So the cops kept on saying she was knocking on doors, she's behaving weird, she's behaving strangely. And I tried to explain to them that I was being harassed in the building because I was complaining, and I have the complaints in writing to management about noise campaigns, about being stalked in the building, about being targeted in the building. And I tried to tell the cops this, and they would not listen. So, anyways, they were trying to get the doctor to sign the documents to keep me there, and the doctor refused because she realized that if anything had happened, it was situational and it was not due to mental illness. Of course, it was not due to mental illness. It was due to being lied upon, basically. I was not knocking on people's doors. I was not following anybody. I was the one who was complaining about being followed, and I have it in writing, which I tried to explain to the cops. Um, Anyways, the doctor refused to sign the documents, and I heard that the cops trying to make her sign the documents, and she refused. Um, but somehow they got somebody in there to put in the remarks on the documents, possible paranoia. Although the doctor said to me, and said to the cops in front of me, that there is nothing wrong here. Whatever may have happened was situational. It was not due to mental illness. Somebody wrote on that document possible paranoia, which is not a diagnosis, but it certainly makes it look like I was paranoid. Although I have the documents to prove that I was being harassed. And in retrospect, now I understand that I was flagged at the time, and the people who were calling the cops were informants. They were placed, or they took on the responsibility to report on me, which means that they were actually following me around to create a report about me to submit to the cops. And the cops knew that, but will not listen to my side of the story, because I was saying that their informants were stalking and harassing me. So that's my side of the story. I heard the cops were is discussing, according to the comments I'm hearing outside, discussing this incident, and they were saying that I was resisting arrest. Well, they told me that I was not under arrest, and I was not resisting arrest. I was just trying to get my shoes on. At no point did I resist being taken, even though they did not tell me why they were taking me and who said what. So I will be pulling out the backup for that. So I heard they reported there was a scuffle, whatever the heck that is. Um, maybe somebody mispronounced that word, but anyway, or misused the word. But there was never any paranoia. And I was not knocking on people's doors. They were actually knocking on mine. I actually have a video, a very recent one, where people are knocking on my door. They're knocking on mine. I've had people do all sorts of things in front of my door, leave garbage in front of my door, leave garbage around my car, all sorts of things. But for some reason, when I tried to report this to the cops, they refused to listen to me. Even though I have videotapes of these things, I have letters that I wrote complaining about it to management. They just refuse to see or to listen to my side of the story, because I'm a target. And this is what I'm hearing outside the window. I am a target, I'm a target, I'm a target, meaning my voice is suppressed and my side of the story will never be heard. It's all fixed. So that was one of the incidents, one interaction with police that still up to today causes me stress. So next day I'll do a description of other interactions I had with the cops as a direct result of being flagged based on lies. Talk to you another time.